versus OpTic. Guys?
The windmill is moving and the game is underway, and to your point, Jamerson, Stratus looking like he will be heading into the skies this time around. So, whoa, this is an interesting swap up here where, all right, is it going to be Keller in the Sombra? It will be, so Gray, of course, known for Sombra play. Interesting change up here from OpTic.
Interesting indeed. Stratus will have the high ground, of course, on that far to himself. No one to really try and contest him. We don't have that long-range hit scan, but Keller does have some latitude to work with to try and get that hack off right now. He's just trying to find any kind of opening. It's Spozik's getting zoned out right now as the dive has come out from NRG, but they haven't found anything quite yet.
And the key to this fight here for OpTic is they need to go in aggressively. You can't give Stratus time to work with here if you're not going to challenge him. And Keller, he's going to fall first. And Stratus, so much room to work with here. Getting nullified from D.Va to an extent, but it's Damon in the back. So much room to work with. Stratus laying in the poke from afar, and OpTic is going to fall here in this early fight. A quick strike from NRG that will give them control.
Damon just eating them all up now, feasting upon their corpses, sending them to spawn, even getting that last elimination onto Sharp. And to check Sharp like that, we'll have to see what he can do. He does have that pulse bomb. Both of these tracers have been dishing out a lot of damage.
OpTic's key to victory is having Sharp go wild. If Sharp starts getting checked by Damon like that, it's going to be a very long series for OpTic. But now, we see OpTic coming in, going to the right, and Sharp gets crushed by Damon! A one clip from the side, and almost a curse there, Jamerson. Again, that's quite bad for OpTic.
That is bad indeed. NRG, 30% now. And they're just building up their ultimates, haven't had to use anything at all. It might just come to critical mass up against OpTic, who themselves do have two so far. Gray is pretty far from that Transcendence, though.
It's far from the Transcendence. Meanwhile, Stratus, you do have to worry about him here, where it's a defensive Pharah. There's the barrage, drops on in, nullified by Vol. Vol got into it really well. The barrier's gonna keep the rest of OpTic alive, but even with that play, it's still Stratus doing damage from afar and will keep NRG in the fight. Oh my goodness, Stratus is a problem that OpTic has to solve right now.
And it doesn't look like they're going to try to do anything. Never mind, Keller has now swapped off. There we go. Stratus solves the problem for them. He just jumps into that pulse bomb, but Damon has answered back. Gray has fallen. Stratus brought back into this now. So OpTic Academy, they're still up against it. Might come down to one final team fight. NRG now sitting at 75%.
OpTic can't really waste too much time here. You don't want to play the air game with what they're doing. They have a Transcendence up. You got to move him with the Transcendence, secure the ground game. Don't let Damon pick someone off in the beginning. OpTic moving their way forward. Damon flanking from the side, force out the Transcendence, and Keller wasn't in it! Keller taken down by Specs from the other side. And again, Keller was the main way of dealing with Stratus here. Stratus unchecked, barrage from the top. D.Va not able to stop all of it, but it does enough. Stratus is going to fall. OpTic deals with it quite well. Still in the fight, moving back in from the other side. And this is where Sharp now can make some moves. Rob out of the fight. Smurf diving in even deeper. And OpTic actually pulls the fight back.
OpTic pull it back and keep this point alive for themselves. Even retaining some of their ultimates, as Aid still has that Lucio sound barrier. It's NRG that committed everything into the last one now, and so kind of resets this. It sets up OpTic Academy really to try and build up a lot of time on this point.
Sharp off the flank, looking for the bomb. Checked by Specs here to a degree, doesn't want to go in, but he's on getting flanked, so he dives in even deeper and takes down Butcher. He is rewarded for not being a coward in this case. Gets on the Butcher, and now Stratus is going to find less room to work with. Does have a Winston to really suppress for him, and he has to go further back while still looking for this rocket poke.
Sharp was also almost gone there. It was down to about 2 HP. Now the brazenness to go in onto that Winston and hold on to his recall for so long. He had just gotten it up now. Keller try to get out with the Soldier 76, but he's getting shelled down now by Stratus. So they have them cornered right now, but he's good instead. Keller moving forward.
He almost has Visor. He just needs to stay alive long enough to get Visor. There's the Transcendence, and we'll catch Vol in time. Oh, no, it didn't. Vol still ends up demeched. Doesn't get caught by the Transcendence in time. OpTic working at a disadvantage. They invest the barrier. I mean, they're all in. They can't give up the control of the point even once, but the Visor from Keller doesn't do much at all. And this leaves Stratus room to work with on the top. Damon's dominating the ground, Stratus is in the air, and the DPS duo from NRG doing its duty here. They're gonna be throwing OpTic off this point.
Another Barrage coming out from Stratus, this time not punished at all once again. So with that, NRG will flip the point. Overtime ticking away. OpTic Academy have no one able to make it onto the points. Sharp wasn't able to get there, and so with that, NRG will take the first point here on Ilios.
Something to note here too with the Sombra pick early on by OpTic is that they were the one team where when they were running the Sombra, they were doing it more old school style, even with the changes and running Grand the Sombra and sacrificing a support. This is one of the first times where they've decided to run double support and then a DPS on the Sombra. Didn't really work out for them, and in fact, I think it was a very rough game for Keller overall.
Now take a look as we go into this. Keller now on his third hero, he's going over to the McCree. So they're already possibly expecting a Pharah coming up from NRG, but NRG just doing a counter read are going to go for a very tank-heavy lineup along with Stratus on the Reaper. We've seen them do this beforehand. So OpTic Academy, I don't know if they have the control to try and deal with this.
And that's pre-change Reaper too. That is not the Destroyer of Worlds that is on the PTR right now, and yet still could be a threat in this situation. However, I think the McCree versus Reaper matchup pretty decent for OpTic in this situation. It doesn't have to be up against a Pharah. It's going to be hard for Stratus to work around it. In fact, I think if NRG loses this fight here, he's going to be swapping off because Stratus can't go into the McCree. It's hard to do so as Reaper. You really have to pick and choose your moments. And you see OpTic right now getting on both sides of NRG. Sharp's going to finally take down Smex. And now when Tank's down, you see OpTic going in even deeper, pushing NRG to the limit. Early Pulse Bomb connects, Butcher out of the fight, and OpTic going to make this one pretty easy. And I feel like we're going to see Stratus swap here.
Yeah, Stratus should swap. He does get consolation kill onto Keller, but at this point, you know, NRG, you had mentioned it correctly, right? That McCree versus the Reaper battle. NRG, what they wanted to do was force OpTic onto the point. That's why they had the entire team on there. But instead, OpTic, they took their time. They picked them apart. Smex, he was out of position. He actually jumped off the point, and as soon as he did, they just jumped on him and took him out.
It's always a rough situation when you have everyone on the point clumped up as they were, and then you see just sort of OpTic circling the wagons like, oh, because then you have no way of disengaging, right? Anytime they would have tried to have disengaged and cut out, Keller had the perfect angle on McCree to shut things down. So NRG definitely did not have the greatest look there.
Right before we ended up having to go, because there was a pause in the game, I think, Jamerson, you might have said that Reaper is a really hard pick against McCree. Why is that? Oh,
not against the McCree, just with the team composition there, because they were running that triple tank. So they were running this really death ball, you know, cooldown heavy team that were going to rely upon their cooldowns to just keep him alive and make sure that he's able to get the damage across. But they played it well on the opposite side for OpTic. They were just playing at range because they did have that range with McCree.
Well, I will say I was the one kind of talking about the McCree-Reaper interchange, and part of the reason why is for Reaper is that you really have to be careful. If you approach the McCree's going to get better damage on you as you move in. You can't really take it the mid-range. You have to take it up close, but if you take it up close and get hit by the flashbang, you're still going to fall. So McCree actually presents matchup issues for a Reaper, which is why you generally don't see teams try and stick and run the Reaper into a McCree in most situations. So that's why I think in terms of change-ups after this first fight, the odds that Stratus goes to something different here, pretty high. I would probably expect the Genji, if anything.
Genji, possibly even a Pharah. I think maybe even a Pharah, because it can be difficult to try and get that burst damage off, make it stick. But ultimately, I think what happened there was that NRG, they did have the game plan. What they were expecting to do was get onto the point, force them to fight on the point, but instead OpTic didn't. The other way that NRG could have approached it was instead, because they did have the Lucio, they could have just speed boost onto that McCree and just throw all three tanks onto him, and that allows the Reaper Stratus on the opposite end to do have free reign with that Reaper. But again, OpTic just played that perfectly. Yeah,
you guys, I think that it was maybe a week before last. I think it was sometime in the first week or maybe even the beginning of the second. Oh, we're going back to game. Make it later. Enjoy!
All right, now we can see how some of this theory crafting works out. Of course, Stratus going back to the spawn right now. Will he stand the Reaper? And for now, it's looking like NRG not going to be changing up too much. They are happy with what they have.
Okay, we'll see. I want to actually see where Keller is positioned. Was he able to get onto the high ground here, or is he still on the low? Because that's going to be difficult dealing with NRG, who are just right in their faces. Transcendence comes out from OpTic to keep them alive.
The Transcendence going to keep them alive. It's also going to make things rough for Stratus, who really just wanted to get in on the Roadhog immediately. And, oh, they are able to get Smurf nonetheless. Smurf out of the fight. Early on, Stratus gets his pig, as it were, and OpTic now still working the outskirts. The barrier is in, and Keller, room to work with on the side, needs to land a few headshots, so it's not as decisive as you'd like, as Specs whole hogs on the point and makes the room necessary.
Makes the room necessary indeed. During that entire fight, though. OpTic Academy were holding on to it. NRG finally flipping it on over. So OpTic were able to secure 44% now. But sure, with this Earth Shatter, it can be difficult at times to land it, but if they fight right here on the points, he should just be able to set it up easily for his team.
One thing I'd like to see here is Keller playing more with the team. He's playing on the flanks, but it also means that he can't check the Reaper in the angles that he's playing right now. It's sort of consistent damage, a scavenger McCree, if you will, but he could be really effective just protecting Specs, and oh my goodness, Specs just gets chunked early on, and there's the hammer. Stratus spins his way in. It's a 4-5 for Stratus off the setup coming in from Butcher. My goodness, you don't see that every day from a Reaper.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful setup. Butcher just found the right angle with that Earth Shatter. Sometimes it's so difficult to tell with the Reinhardt how the Earth Shatter will travel, especially when you have like these little walls and these stairs, but he just connected it beautifully for Stratus now. But coming into this next fight, Coalescence is all they'll have to try and keep Specs alive, and he's not able to stay alive.
Specs down early on, and NRG, they have to back out a bit here. Well, they can't even coalesce. Vol comes in off the outskirts, and this is a swift strike right back from OpTic in this situation. Then they don't have to use the Transcendence either, so really clean from them early on. They're going to retake control of the point, but NRG's in a fine spot here.
Yeah, I like that setup coming out from OpTic. They use the whole hog to try and deal with that Reinhardt barrier and make sure the Keller can get it, and also use that displacement to make sure that, you know, they're not hiding behind walls. Keller didn't connect, but it's a whole hog, and it does a ton of damage. OpTic had to follow up here. Now NRG coming in. They're still running with that triple tank composition here, but it's Sharp in the back, getting some free damage off onto Damon, who does survive with that mech.
Early pulse bomb out from Sharp.
Oh.
Gets Stratus. Oh my word, not the easiest pulse bomb target to get as a Tracer at all. Self-destruct onto the point from NRG. And OpTic for now, withstanding, able to get out of the range of that beam. They give up just enough on the point, but not the point entirely, as Sharp and Smurf come right back on in. They're gonna clean house. And OpTic, one fight away from taking this round.
One fight away. Late reset coming up from Damon now. OpTic Academy into this next fight. They've got some great stall tools, Sound Barrier along with the Primal Rage coming up for Smurf. He's at 82% right now. If he just takes the high ground, tickles them from above, he should be able to build it up Sharp. Drop down low, Pulse Bomb does not connect.
Pulse Bomb in, not quite what he's looking for. Barrier out from OpTic. They're gonna hold their ground here. Butcher low but not out. Oh, now he's out, knocked down by Smurf. Smurf doesn't let him get the Earth Shatter. He was so close in the moment, and oh, pigs do fly as Aid sends Specs on a ride. OpTic gonna force a round number 3 here.
Overtime ticks away. Man, Smurf with that Primal Rage, you always have to be careful. If it ain't the boop, it's gotta be the backhand of Smurf to be able to finish that out for his team. And so now we're going to map 3 here, and as we move on to Ruins, hoping to see some great Widowmaker battles.
Widow v Widow, often the name of the game here. And again, OpTic is going into a special of theirs, which you don't see too often from other teams and contenders, which is that they're going to be running solo support. They're putting Gray on the Sombra. It is a more old school application of Sombra that you're not seeing from the other side, where NRG is running Sombra, but also with Lucio Zen at the same time. So there's multiple layers to this fight, but what I'm most interested in is Keller v Damon.
Yep. Widowmaker battles once again will ensue here. Keller versus Damon now. Keller taking the inside track here. So we'll see. It looks like OpTic, they might not have been able to get into position to get the hack off onto the pack. No, wait, they did.
Meanwhile, Keller on the point, looking for his counterpart, the Damon v Keller show, as you were. NRG being a little bit tentative, but still getting onto the point to the side. Meanwhile, Gray forced back. Vol already demaxed. NRG in a good spot here. Damon was looking for Winston, almost got it. He's not really worried about his counterpart. He's just looking to be a damage Widow to anyone else. Meanwhile, though, it's Sharp on the outskirts. Back and forth is this fight here so far. And Sharp doing his work, almost has a pulse bomb, and this is coming down to the wire. Yeah, Vol very narrowly not able to get into his mech here. Sharp versus Stratus. Pulse Bomb was not there to finish off Stratus. Dropped down to 22 HP. He does have to back away, but no, it's Gray with the follow-up. Both Sombras giving up their lives for the play. Neither team able to actually secure the point quite yet. Not quite yet. Damon in the back. Rob, though, stops Smurf from getting away. This could be big for NRG. Now they're going to have to take advantage on the point. Damon still controlling sight lines here on this Widow. Hasn't found the killer here yet. And NRG, they have first control of the point, and it's going to be up to OpTic now to reset.
OpTic, they will reset, but for the next fight, Keller starts it all off. Rob has already gone down. He's going to have his recon visor now. Stratus will fall too. So Fozik's bringing one back in. It's going to be a 5v4, but still in favor of OpTic Academy.
OpTic coming right back in, but NRG still is not in a bad spot here at all, really. I mean, OpTic, as they move in and around, they lose Keller, and yeah, what pressure they had, it's gone. NRG's going to continue to hold here quite well, despite OpTic getting that early opening. What? Why would you do that? I don't think that was intended at all by Aid. That might have been a misclick.
Oh boy, that sound barrier might come back to punish them now. NRG starting to stabilize in this fight. They will also use that Valkyrie into it just to make sure they maintain control. Vol, though, takes out Butcher, and that opens up Sharp to get into the back. The Zenyatta does fall. Gray able to clean up the rest of the members of NRG, and so OpTic Academy will wrestle control away from NRG.
OpTic able to get back in there, and no small part to the Keller just having his way at the very end.
So now, as NRG come into this next fight, it's gonna be Rob. He's got his Transcendence. Oh, but in the backline, Fozik's dropped down low. Gray just able to take him out, delaying NRG even more.
Gray just snuck into the backline and said, hey, Fozix, what's up? I'm actually not going for Zen this time.
You never expect that, right?
Oh.
You're imagining that they're gonna try and force out the Transcendence, but Keller already getting that frag onto Stratus, now delaying NRG even more. They're getting close to equalizing this out.
NRG is their own worst enemy right now in how they're playing this, where they just let themselves get staggered multiple times in a row, and I'll tell you how it could get worse here. If Keller's able to take down Damon, no, in fact, Gray's the one who's taken down by Damon, a little bit too far out. That's the opening that NRG needed. They're engaging with the early Transcend, and they drop the EMP just for good measure. NRG, they break open an opening, and then they seize it right after a nice engage after an early pickoff.
Yeah, for OpTic Academy, all they had were the tanks on there, and so you might as well just get rid of all their defensive cooldowns, get rid of that defensive matrix, along with the barrier, and just make it easy cleanup for them. Damon just pushing forward, almost gets the kill onto Keller, but he was still in spawn. If it weren't for that, he would have gone down.
Keller's gonna have an edge here in a moment, though. In the Widow battles, when you have a recon sight up, it limits what the other Widow can do, which means that it might not even be down the Widow v Widow here. You see Damon backing up. That's going to give Keller the opportunity he needs to chunk a tank on the interim here, and that's what happens! Butcher taken down. The combination of Sombra, Tracer, and Widow get Butcher early on in the fight, and Sharp isn't done yet. Into the back he goes. Has two so far, looking for more, grabs Rob. What an engage and fast break by OpTic. That's going to give them control of the point.
That will give them control of the point, but NRG were able to stall this out to get up to the upper portions of the 90% there, and so OpTic Academy have to hold on to this perfectly. Now, it's going to come down to Sharp and Vol. They've got both the bombs. Gray along with that EMP. We'll see if they can set this up. Right now, Sharp on the left side.
Gray must be successful here from OpTic. They need an EMP to buy themselves time to get something up like another barrier. NRG engaging pretty heavily right now. Smurf's already out of the fight. Gray, where's your EMP? Drops EMP in the back. It's still 5-on-5, and Sharp makes good use. Gets Stratus, lays the damage into Specs right now. Specs in all sorts of rough shape. And meanwhile, OpTic keeps control of the point. So even though Butcher's taking down Keller in the back, OpTic is doing enough on the outskirts. They are skirmishing very well in the situation. They're in overtime, they are in control, and it's Aid just booping and bopping people in and around. Last-ditch effort here from Rob.
Yeah, it's just both supports now, but they will fall. Rob and Fozik's gone. OpTic Academy start off a little bit slow here, but as they clean up the final remaining members of NRG, they got a little bit of delay. No, isn't able to make it to the point. So with that, OpTic Academy take Ilios.
So we saw quite a bit of action of Damon versus Sharp, and it wasn't just in his Widowmaker here. It was also on their Tracer versus Tracer. As far as those two people go individually as players, how do you think that they stack up?
Honestly, it's too close to call for this.
Yeah.
Both of them had moments where they dominated the other, and then when they dominated the other, they just ruined the other team as well, right? So I think both of them put on very stellar performances here. I don't think either had anything to feel particularly bad about. Again, it felt fairly even to me in terms of who was taking what.
But once we got rid of the Fire Mercy from Well, that's when Sharp really got to come alive. He didn't have to worry about a damage-boosted rocket, so he did have a lot more freedom to work with, and so that's why we really saw him come alive, especially there on Ruins. But we saw smatterings of it, I believe, on Lighthouse also. But it felt like there was a little bit of a disjointedness coming out from the support line from NRG, especially at the end of Ruins there. Phozix, he had used his Valkyrie into the fight, but he wasn't able to get a res off, which would have been huge if he had brought Rob back in with the Transcendence to continue out that last team fight. I don't know, maybe he was interrupted. I didn't really get to see what was going on with Phozix. I just knew there was a Valkyrie in play, but it wasn't getting used well.
To touch on your point about Pharah, though, is like, I'm not really sure how much of that was Stratus' Pharah, which was still quite good, and how much of that was putting Keller onto the Sombra, which is not a hero he normally plays, where I felt that Keller was sort of just having a rough time adjusting that entire early stage on Wells. So for me, it's just kind of, okay, how much was Stratus? How much was Keller? I mean, the answer is a little bit of both. If I'm NRG, though, I definitely keep running the Pharah at OpTic and then see if they can deal with it.
Yeah, you guys had mentioned that there are two types of Pharahs, the kind you deal with and the kind you ignore, and Stratus proved to be the Pharah that you should have probably dealt with.
Yeah, indeed. He found these openings for the barrages. I believe he had 3 or 4 during Well here, and 2 of them were largely successful, only the one really flopping, but not even really flopping because he would do a lot of damage, draw the attention of the Diva away, and mostly get it off, channel like the entire thing.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there as well, which is something that people underrate, is that as a Pharah, if you use a barrage, even if you don't necessarily kill someone there, if you draw a Diva out of the fight, out of protecting the backline from multiple moments, what that does, particularly in NRG's case, is that, all right, you're worried about Stratus, you've engaged your Diva on the Stratus, well, what's happening? Now you have Damon in the backline going, no one's looking for me, let's go.
All right, well, let's move into map selection. We are going to be following the trend and hanging out in Hollywood.
No surprise. Good map for Pharah on first points, and I think the way NRG likes playing, especially emphasizing more verticality, just makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Stratus is going to go for that Pharah. We've seen him go for the Pharah on Hollywood before. He's had some great standout moments. He found windows of opportunities with it. And of course, just his timings on the barrage can be extremely deadly if he can build it up in time for a point A push.
Something that I also noticed Stratus was very good at was his disengage. So like he would barrage and then he would manage to get out and not really take too much damage. And I think he only really died on one of those 4 barrages that he had. And like you said, he had done so much poke damage on the other team, it was like a worthy sacrifice.
Let's be clear, credit where credit is due to the rest of NRG there, because anytime you invest or you hit that ultimate button as a Pharah, you know that a lot of times you're not finishing the voice line. People are going to be wondering where justice comes from. It's like, justice comes from
Albuquerque?
Yeah. we don't really know. But NRG was doing a good job of allocating tank resources to support Stratus when he would eventually go for those barrages.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Stratus just mechanically, he knows what to do, especially if the Diva's in his face. You saw him turn away, make sure that the body blocking wasn't getting the damage off onto him. And so, like, he just has his head on straight when he's playing thus far. He's not too aggressive. He knows. He really does, like, play this very stalker style where he just waits and finds his moment. He'll allow a Diva to boost her away, and then he'll go in for his primary target.
It's 4 a.m. Stratus is killing your drone that was up above your house. What do you do?
Exactly. You guys also showed a bit of surprise when Keller came out on Sombra at the beginning of that matchup.
Well, yeah, because normally they run what OpTic ran what they ran later in the series, which is that they sacrifice a support.
Yeah.
And they run Gray on the Sombra, where here they put Keller on the Sombra, and it's not what they usually did. And I don't think Keller felt particularly comfortable on it.
All right, well, let's see who they choose to go with. If we are going to see that Sombra come up again, we are moving on to Hollywood. Take it away, guys.
Again, Hollywood does not look this glamorous. I'm just letting you know. This is the future, and I guess maybe at some point they revamped it a little bit.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit disappointed when I got to see Hollywood for the first time when I was a youngin'. You know, the glitz and glamour, it's all in the movies, really, friends. Everything is pretty flat. That was the one thing that really, like, surprised me. Everything's just really flat here.
Yep, you look at the sign, you go, oh, the Hollywood sign is on the mountain. That's cool. It's like, wait, no, it's just sprawling L.A. Terrible, soul-sucking L.A.
NRG on the offense now. will be on the offense as soon as we figure out what's going on with this pause, but they are already hovering over a triple tank composition once again.
Not too surprised to see the triple tank coming out here, especially on first point, where you can make it work on both offense and or defense. But we'll see if they stick with it and what that's going to be, as we did pause right before the game actually began.
Yeah.
Did you guys see anything that surprised you in the half of a second we had the game?
Not too much.
No. Well,
there were still a lot of railings around, you know, so...
The railing union has actually just done its job. It's like, please stop killing these. We actually want to rebuild them, or we don't want to rebuild them. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too surprised by it. I think they were expecting, of course, like a defensive Sombra coming out from OpTic Academy, and so what they really want to do with that triple tank composition is just run into the cafe, get rid of that hacked health pack, make sure that OpTic can't run it. This is a strategy we've seen up against teams that do run a defensive Sombra. So a triple tank isn't the worst thing in the world here as they come in, and it actually is a pretty smart pick coming out from them.
What I'm just curious to see is the swap-ups that you get here, because how First Point Hollywood is played isn't necessarily how Second Point Hollywood is played. And if anything, we were talking about the idea of Sharp versus Damon and how they both had their good licks on control. I feel like Second Point Hollywood is one stage in particular, more so than most in the game, that you really give your flex DPS room, or your flanking DPS room to shine and have big moments, especially in conjunction with your supports.
Alrighty, well, let's get back into game and see how it goes.
All right. Once more, we are back in, and NRG, of course, running with this tank-heavy offensive setup. Not quite a Slambulance, but
it's got a lot of boom behind it because Stratus is on this junker right now. He is getting booped around, dropped down to about 20 HP. He will fall, but OpTic, they have lost Smurf on the opposite end.
That's not bad at all. NRG now, they don't have to worry about the barrier. They can go in a little bit more aggressively. They just need to deal with Sharp now. Sharp has to be priority number one. And did they get him? They do! Smacks off the hook, finishes his plate, and that was OpTic's best hope of defending this here. I guess, hey, they got a tire. Keller's built up really quickly, but it's going to be on a hope and a prayer, and it needs to be big. Over the top, only gets one. Smex has done enough work here that shouldn't be enough for OpTic to come back in.
Yeah, there's just too much damage, especially with Smex still alive there. So with that, NRG on their first push will take the point now. 5 minutes and 25 seconds. We have Butcher. Looks like he's running back to spawn, possibly to change. No, never mind, he's back on the payload.
Well, we do have a change up here. We have Stratus going to the Genji. Not a bad pickoff at all, but for second or into third. And OpTic is fairly drained here. I mean, for them, the best thing that could happen would be Sharp just getting a pickoff, but NRG's playing pretty well around that so far.
Yeah, I like the swap off coming out from Stratus because Damon is the sole member, was the sole member of NRG that was going to be able to contest the high ground. It gives that extra potency. Oh, Stratus, if he had just gone for an extra melee, but instead he's able to make it out, pulse bomb, but it's deleted, gotten rid of because of that sound barrier. Hook comes in.
Enough. Specs contests Sharp once more. He is on Sharp duty right now, making him dull indeed as NRG works this well. The barrier was well timed, and OpTic, it's a panic transcendence coming in. Specs reels in another, a master fisherman right now, pulling in Whopper after Whopper, and this is going really well for NRG, so long as Specs can continue to land these hooks.
At the end there, Keller's just like, why'd you res me back into this? Why'd you res me right in front of Specs, man? I just gotta run away. He will be able to make it away for now, but he does not have the high ground positioning. Keller isn't able to make it away from the hook. Specs, what's he got, like a 90% hook accuracy on this map so far?
His hook accuracy is insane right now. He is breaking the back of OpTic Academy. That's why you see Keller moving in, and ooh, an ambitious Earth Shatter there from Butcher. I don't think the fall through is there. I think he was a little bit hyped up, but look, you're getting Team Mech Diva, but while this is going on, Sharp gets rid of the threat. Fishing season is over for NRG. Smurf moving in, and that was a really weird Earth Shatter.
Yeah, I think he was expecting people to jump out from behind the meteor, but there was no one there. And so now Butcher is going to swap off. They're just going to go for more dive-heavy oriented team. Smex hasn't swapped yet, and why not? He's been doing a great job so far. They just want a bit more high ground contention. Now, OpTic on the other side, Keller is on the Reaper.
Well, again, he went to the Reaper here to make Smex's life particularly rough, but oh, look at this game of swapping here. He saw that Smex swapped off. Now he's going to the Genji. This is both sides respecting the picks that have been chosen, but the threat of getting hooked is over. However, NRG now set up on the top. Stratus holding on to the blade right now. And again, they need to force out the Transcendence first, or no, you don't. They just dive on in, but Gray's there at the Transcendence, and Stratus goes, wait, I missed the step.
Yeah, and so that blade is getting absolutely shut down. I mean, it was a really telegraphed play coming out from NRG. The Genji dashes up into the air. You know what his MO is at that point. So Gray just waited it out. And from there, they just punished Butcher on the entry in. So OpTic able to gain their footing, regain it, and now NRG Esports. Coming into this next fight, they could just try and go aggressive with the sound barrier, but Aid will have his own very shortly.
The thing for NRG there is that training a blade for Transcendence isn't bad. You just can't dive into Transcendence after. You have to sort of bait and out-trade 1-for-1. Sharp, though, picked off Rob. Orbs to the face, setting up NRG quite well here early on. Gray falls to Damon in the back. Damon was on the flank the entire time, and NRG starts out on a very good clip here. And I'll bear in mind, OpTic get barriered in the middle of that, but they've lost so many people that's tough. However, Sharp is already back in the fight. He's grabbed Butcher. He's starting to flank around the outskirts here, and it's off Sharp that OpTic still might be able to fight this one back. Keller at the blade, gets Rob, and Sharp going deeper.
Yeah, Keller survived about 10 HP there before he dashed away with that reset. Able to keep himself alive here. Smex now will get resets, sent back to spawn as NRG. They're so close to try and get second here, but OpTic been perfect on these retakes so far now. So we go in this next fight. There's a huge power gap between NRG and Esports. So many ultimates online for NRG.
Stronger phrasing. NRG must win this fight. Pure and simple. It is a travesty if they're not able to execute here. Could be a great play in the way of OpTic, but they're going to open with the barrier. Stratus, no fear, dives in, gets Gray, no Transcend this time. Going up top. Four's counterpart not quite able to finish it because look at the protection. Smurf knocks him back, and yet it's not enough. NRG has invested just about everything, and their investment works. As well it should have, because you don't want to lose a fight in those circumstances.
Indeed, so now they'll get the extra minute 30, even the staggered eliminations. Gray, along with Keller, not able to make it to the safety of their new spawn here. So NRG will be able to make some free ground, even get a staggered elimination onto Smurf. Oh no.
Well, the one upside for OpTic here is that NRG has used just about everything. The downside is that Rob has built up Transcendence just about to be ready for the next fight. So this next fight, more even than OpTic perhaps would like. Key determining factor going to be Sharp coming in with the Pulse Bomb, diving in deep already, poked back. Can't really go in here just yet. This fight's taking longer to start up than you would expect, but you see Sharp waiting. Four's up, two, gets blown up first. That's huge for NRG.
Oh, Sharp thought he was out of the danger zone, but Damon now with two, even getting that D-Mech. Gonna allow NRG to continue to press forward. OpTic, they will have an opportunity to regroup. They've got the sound barrier, they do have the Transcendence along with the Pulse Bomb. Keller coming up on that blade. So NRG now up against it. They're just trying to push this as far as they can, but this might just be their final push.
Well, much as NRG had a must-win fight earlier where they had so many else, so is the same here for OpTic. OpTic, everything up. Sharp dies immediately. Isn't able to be saved by the Transcend. OpTic moving their way in. They still have barrier and blade. Barrier out first. Here's the blade. Stratus looking for anything. It's actually slipped to the other side. It's Stratus's blade, not Keller's. Keller got nothing with his blade, and Rob takes down Keller. I think it was Rob who denied Keller in the middle of that, but it's not quite going to be enough as OpTic is still able to convert on their ultimates, but no, maybe not. Damon and Butcher still keeping it alive. OpTic had so much power here, and yet now they are powerless. NRG pulling it right back the other way, and this is rough for OpTic Academy. They were on the verge of a hold, but NRG slams it right on through.
NRG with time on the board will complete out Hollywood there. You know, it was just great timing coming out from them. They were able to get the support ults up during that fight, and then they layered it perfectly. They used the sound barrier first, waited out that Transcendence, did Rob, holding onto it very patiently throughout the entirety of Keller's blade, and he wasn't able to come up with anything so far. Now, OpTic on the offense.
This is still pretty winnable for OpTic in this situation, but that last fight was a fight they really should have taken, and it just did not quite go their way. And now, as a result, they open the door for NRG to make a comeback now in this series.
And so now NRG, yeah, they want to tie this up. Again, both of these teams, they're sitting at 1-1. I believe OpTic do have the map differential because they got a 4-0 up against bye week in their first week, while NRG, they've had to take it to 5 maps every single time. Their loss against Fusion University, and then their win up against Envision in that 3-2 reverse sweep. And so this is a very important match between these two teams.
All right, NRG's defense moving on out. And again, you take a look at this defense here. Not going to be anything too crazy, but they're going to be putting Smex on the Roadhog again. And I like it. I mean, he had Sharp in pure fear for most of the early part of point A. Why not do it again, especially when he was landing hook after hook? Because it wasn't just Sharp, he was terrorizing most of OpTic in that situation.
You know, what I really like to see coming out from NRG was that, what I liked seeing was that whenever the hooks did land, the rest of the team focused the target. And especially if it was Sharp, they made sure that, you know, he had no window to try and get that recall off. And so the one-shots definitely came across. Now OpTic just going to go for a full-on dive for their offense here, 2-2-2 as they get out of the gates.
OpTic moving their way on in, and yeah, again, as you mentioned, not really going for anything too crazy here, and the key part for them is don't get hooked. Don't let Smex have a good day of fishing right now, and that health pack is hacked, so Sharp not going to be able to be as aggressive from the side.
But that's great. Bull got hooked in, he got dropped down low, but he survived, so Gray's just getting that healing off on him. Gray, will he be able to survive? He's dropped down to about 50 HP, but he will survive through that.
Meanwhile, again, look at how contained Sharp is here compared to normal. Doesn't want to get hacked, doesn't want to get hooked, and the hook comes in from Smex, but the coverage is there. OpTic, with the Diva play, able to keep him alive, but meanwhile, Sharp got caught on the side. He's not running this obstacle course of Roadhog, Junkrat, Sombra, all that well, which means OpTic has to rely on other things to get through here. Killer in the back, on Rob, but NRG is still very healthy in the point, healthy enough that they can res Rob without much fear.
Yeah, now NRG coming up on a lot of ultimates here. Phozix able to stay alive throughout that entire fight, so he's at 90% now towards his Valkyrie here. It's going to be Gray. Was able to get a lot of healing off of Bull that got that Transcendence, so they charge forward now.
Transcendence in for OpTic. They dive into the cafe. Sometimes when you want lattes, you go in full bore, and they get Phozix immediately. The very aggressive dive led by Gray works out well, and they just clean up in an instant. This is going to be point A going the way of OpTic.
Yeah, and really that came down from the first fight. Vol was the first member of OpTic to get hooked on in, but they did not complete that D-mech onto her, so he survived, allowing Gray to just build up so much ultimate charge. That's why he had early Transcendence. NRG were not expecting that at all. You have to finish off the tanks, or the opposing team, they just build up their ultimates that much quicker.
NRG does have a tool in their belt here to start getting some solidity here on the beginning of point B. It's going to be Damon coming in over with the EMP. You have Sharp on the bomb, but there's the EMP. NRG dives in really well with the EMP, takes down 3 right after. That's how you have to support an EMP, and they do it really well.
Yeah, and just the focus fire coming out, both supports, and then go after the tank, and then finish off with DPS. That was great coming out from NRG here on their first hold. To move on to second. So now OpTic, they don't really have that much fighting power so far. I mean, they do have Smurf, he does have the Primal Rage, but that's not the tool you want to try and win out this team fight. Luckily for them, NRG don't have much either on the opposing end, but still, they can still stall this point out. No one's actually going onto the payload, so they're actually allowing them to push in for free.
There's a reason why they're not going to the payload. Once they go on the payload, they have to commit to the fight. They can't, once they're in, they have to be all in, and that's what you see there. NRG drops Butcher in, they all move in, but OpTic now looking to punish. Sharp playing with fire there, 18 HP, and OpTic, they bury her a little bit too late. They bury her after Vol is focused down. Stratus is in the back, cleaving his way to victory. Doesn't care about your shared music in the least. And yet, OpTic trading out a little bit towards the end, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough. It's a good fight for NRG.
Stratus built up a lot of ultimate charge during the engagement of that fight, allowing him to get that blade. OpTic really caught off guard by it. NRG just pressing on the gas much quicker than they were really expecting now, so they're going to stabilize here. OpTic Academy still have 3 minutes, though. Try and get the second checkpoint. NRG coming into this next fight. We'll see. Already dive out into the back.
Butcher's way far out. Rage. He's so far out right now. He primal rages, and that's why he was there. But Smex, the self-destruct gets 2. Butcher was merely a distraction. And OpTic, they had any dreams of pushing in there, they have to wait till the next push. 2.5 minutes left.
And yeah, with Butcher going into the back line, that forced out the Transcendence from Gray, so that's gone now. Both supports on OpTic's side lacking their ultimates. It's going to be a while before Aid can build his up. So, NRG sitting pretty, as they do have an EMP for this next fight.
Have an EMP for the next fight, and again, it's going to be a problem for Keller here, where Keller would love to get a good blade. There's the EMP early, but Keller isn't hacked. However, the Transcendence isn't back. Can't really do anything here, just getting booped around, not able to do a thing, easily take it down, and another key ultimate down for OpTic as NRG reads them like a book.
Yeah, Rob actually building up that Transcendence just mere milliseconds before Keller pulled out that blade. I believe it was just the volley coming out from Rob that got it for him there. I was very fortunate, NRG able to hold on now. It's Stratus's turn. He's got the blade, he's got the high ground.
And this is a good setup. Blade out, looking for Lucio. 2 slashes, and he's gone. Both supports cut right down. The lifeline is out, and NRG once more stuffing OpTic before they can even begin. And, well, Stratus to the moon.
The great thing about that setup...
Also, a Winston to the moon. Every space station Hollywood.
Back to Horizon for you, Winston. Just go. Just go.
That's why the next map's going to be Horizon, I bet.
Yeah. I was going to talk about Stratus's blade and how he got in. I love the angle because he was right on top of Aid, and normally Lucios are able to boop them away. But the fact that he was right on top of him, if you boop, he still falls back towards you. Gravity is your friend. Keller able to take out Damon here. So we do have a pause coming out.
Rumor has it the pause is to retrieve the players that are currently floating somewhere between the moon and the Earth as we speak.
Yeah, gotta love ragdoll physics. It always adds a bit of comedy to play. So the key thing that I've been noticing in this, the key word for NRG has been patience. They are so, like, Rob timing the Transcendence and just patience in general for the whole team has been key to that. Just they're playing to win. Like, there is no doubt in anybody's mind NRG means business in this.
Well, what we're also seeing here too is sort of the over-reliance of OpTic on Sharp being a distraction to start fights, because this is one map where it's difficult for the Tracer to be that big of a distraction depending on how the defense is playing it. NRG, they're playing on the high ground. Sharp kind of has to be around the payload. He's not able to prevent NRG from getting their ideal engagement the way he would be in any other.
And we are back into it. Damon, who had just fallen, that allowed Smurf to get into the back, get that frag onto Rob. Now they're even going to be able to hunt down Stratus here. 3 members already gone for the NRG defense. Sharp just free firing away with the help of Aid, taking out Phozix now.
OpTic finally getting some momentum here. Might have been after the pause. I'm not quite sure what went down, but what happened is Sharp took advantage in the chaos. And OpTic will be getting through the second, but man, was it torture.
Oh, look how split off Rob is. He will give his life away. Basically a staggered spawn. Not as difficult one as OpTic had on their defense. So NRG, they will be able to just buy some time, let the payload push, regroup as a 6, and go forward. They've got almost the blade for Stratus. They have the EMP for Damon already. They have a lot of tools to work with for this fight.
It's been a tough day for Keller and Blades. We'll see if this is the opening of a good one. Gets Butcher early on. Nice mechanical play. 6-on-5 for OpTic. They're going to dive in even deeper. Smurf leading the way. Primal in reserve. And NRG, they can't really contest this right now, so they're going to wait.
Yeah, it's about calculated aggression there. They do not overextend to OpTic Academy. They can push the payload for free. They've got a minute left now to complete out this map. Damon in the back with the EMP, there it is.
That was really overly aggressive. I'm not sure it's gonna work out the way we want. It does set Stratus up for 2, and it might just be enough. Stratus cutting on through, gets both supports. The EMP from Damon, though risky, paying off for NRG, and that's gonna be enough to throw OpTic back.
Oh, if they could get this D-Mech onto Vol, that's huge. And so now with 40 seconds left, OpTic, they still have to get their Diva back into her mech. Vol's already at 30%, so he's going to try and maintain his regular ultimate charge here, just get the mech back with that light pistol.
All right, OpTic, final opportunity coming up. They are in a good position ult-wise, but again, look to Keller. He's already gotten poked down early in the fight. You want to get that synergy between Blade and Transcendence here, if at all possible. NRG, overly aggressive. Move in with the barrier, don't get anything. OpTic has a good disengage. Now they re-engage. Transcendence out. Keller, where are you at? The Blade being held this entire time. Keller gets crunched! Stratus Stratus takes him down, the blade never in play, and NRG fighting their way through here. It's a late barrier now from OpTic as NRG has the tools they need to continue delaying. And look at Stratus, he's gonna build up the Blade mid-fight. Blade now up, moving the other way. Blade coming from the back, cutting through aid. Go Gray, what a response! Gets Stratus mid-blade, and OpTic still has an opportunity here. Smurf continues his way through. Is OpTic actually gonna do this? What a play from Gray to open that up. Overtime is done, but OpTic is not.
They keep this alive. NRG only had about 20 seconds in their time bank, and so that will afford another minute to OpTic, but man, that was close. Gray surviving with just a sliver of HP and also getting that return frag on to that Genji Stratus. He was so close to securing that team fight for NRG, securing this map for them.
He was one swing away, and Gray was having none of it. A response in the moment, keeping OpTic alive here. A 22-second difference between these two teams. And NRG, you still gotta play if you wanna win this one.
So we'll see if OpTic change up anything for their offense. And it looks like with what they're hovering over, yeah, I like it. Triple tank into this composition, but NRG, they're gonna be running Damon.
It's not the triple tank I'm interested in. This is, again, the Gray special of, I don't need to be a support, I will be a DPS. Now, I don't know if he's committed to this Hanzo, but this is something that OpTic conceivably could run. It's in their playbook.
It is. We'll see the tank try to alleviate pressure off of Gray, allow him to get some free damage off, and honestly, you do have to worry. Just one scatter arrow, that's all it takes. Just pick apart NRG's defense here. NRG is gonna go with 2-2-2. They've got the Roadhog along with the Theresa. Stratus back on this road, Junkrat.
No, mostly I'd be like, yeah, you're just using it for Sonic Arrow. OpTic is the one team where that actually could have been a thing. But, oh, early hook. Smurf's already gone. That's going to cost OpTic about 20 seconds right off the bat.
Right off the bat, this time with that first hook, they are able to secure it. Smex now looking for another one. I don't know if they have the halts ready quite yet, but they're just going to wait it out here. Stratus, go ahead and put that trap down over by security and secure that angle for his team.
NRG in a good spot, holding in the back. OpTic, last chance, moving in. Vol demeched immediately. Smurf under pressure. Is he going to fall? He was on death's door, and there it goes. He enters and falls. NRG gonna be holding on here versus OpTic. A well-played defense where, again, Smex being the hero once more.
Yeah, Vol, once he gets demeched, even EMP'd. NRG not leaving anything to chance here. Now, there is a last chance moment to try and come in and contest, and they will, but they get melted. Smurf and Gray gone. Sharp hacked will fall. And with that, NRG will hold, leaving themselves a huge win condition in point A of Hollywood.
This isn't as bad for OpTic as it could normally be because they are already up one in the series. Think about the winning conditions here. If they draw out on Hollywood, neither team gets a point. But that means OpTic would only need to win one of the final two maps to take the series. So there's quite a bit of pressure here on NRG to get that one tick and even this up 1-1 right now while they have the chance.
And if it's going to be anywhere, Hollywood A, we see a lot of teams actually struggling with the defense. It's going to come down to probably Smex again now with this Roadhog on the offense. And so we'll see if he connects with those key hooks again.
Smex has been on fire. I mean, this has been a pig that has landed hook after hook here so far, and I know his Roadhog has been hit or miss in the past. Other times where NRG is playing Contenders has been kind of eh. So far here it's been good, although I don't know if we're going to be seeing the hog here early on. I think NRG is going to, well, I'd say by the book, but that is a Doomfist.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I would love it. I would love to see it, you know? Casting the Chinese region, they played a lot of Doomfist and it was fun. But you're just getting my hopes up, aren't you, Stratus?
But do you want to invest the one tick part into that in this situation? The answer is probably no when standard play is so high probability as you just talked about. And yeah, they are going to put Smex back onto the hog though, and I think that's a great move with how he's been playing here so far.
Yeah, triple tank. They've got the big, meaty Rhine shield to protect Stratus on the Junkrat also. So this Theresa barrier is gonna not be able to survive for long. You have to contest with, of course, the scrap gun along with the grenade launcher.
All right, Smex looking for the early hook here. He's been a threat all map long. Can he do it once more? Staying with both of his team in the situation. NRG just throwing their bodies onto point, but Keller gets him from the side. They're giving Keller the absolute best case scenario for a Junkrat, getting so much cleave damage, so much splash from those Junkrat bombs. He already almost has a tire, and this could be quite bad for NRG.
Yeah, he's just got that damage boost. He's at 87% now towards the Rip Tire, and that's what could just shut this down. Connect onto all the tanks. It's easy cleanup at that point for Sharp. So now Keller does get chunked down, but he still has that pocket. Rip Tire going to come out shortly.
He just needs a knockdown tire, and he's not going to let that happen here early. Lets the tire go. You just need one. And he gets two. Even better for Keller, the situation. He didn't wait. He used it early. It's a good adaptation for what we've seen in the past. And OpTic now 12 seconds away from making this a draw.
10 seconds now, OpTic Academy. They just need to hold on. It's going to be a last-ditch effort coming up from NRG here. Going full dive, Stratus swapping over to the Genji, 1 second left. Someone needs to get onto point, they do. Overtime taken away. Here's the Coalescence trying to keep the muff, but Lozic's already fallen.
And the bomb into the back got Stratus as a bonus. That was for Butcher. Butcher ends up falling. Overtime is gone. OpTic forces the draw, which means they are one map away now from taking the series.
So how does it work? This is the first time that I've seen a draw in Pro Overwatch. So how does that work?
So if you can be up 2-1 at the end of the series, you win. So for NRG right now, that makes both maps coming up here must wins for them, winning the series outright. So either way, it's tough for NRG because OpTic has way more winning conditions now.
So NRG basically has to have a repeat performance.
Yep, it's gotta be another reverse sweep, but this time they only need 2 maps in a row. But that means that, of course, OpTic is sitting on match point now with that 1 win and, of course, the 0 draw there.
What do you guys see as far as the gameplay between the two? How is NRG holding up against OpTic? Because it looks like they're doing really well.
NRG had a phenomenal defense that really they came very close to just holding off OpTic on second, where OpTic, again, I don't think Hollywood second is very good for them, which is kind of funny because you think about teams that they're vaguely affiliated with in the Outlaws. It's not exactly a gem of a point for the Outlaws either, and it just comes down to a part where their tanks don't have as good of a time. Sharp's not able to engage the way he normally would like, and NRG just had good engage after good engage from the high ground to the low ground there. So I thought NRG's defense in Hollywood looked great.
Yeah, they were in this really great ultimate rotation where they were able to get out Blades with a supporting ultimate in the back also to keep him alive. They just found themselves in a great rotation. It was very difficult for OpTic to finally break, but once they did, you know, floodgates just opened up for them, and then just clutch plays. Gray with a kick to shut down the Dragon Blade.
Well, that's obviously the big turning point there. Where I think you run that last point 9 times out of 10, it's probably NRG that holds there. That's a double kill Blade coming out from Stratus. And Gray stepped up quite literally with his foot in the last moment, was able to kill Stratus, kept the push alive for OpTic after what was a rough engage for them, and ended up giving them the chance of at least forcing a draw.
All right, well, let's take a look. We've got some replay here from Keller. I would love to have this broken down a bit because he got that tire within like a half a second.
NRG clumped up. They were going into that tiny area, and the problem when you do that is that you give a Junkrat who's well-positioned the ability to splash your entire team with damage, and Keller was well-positioned to do that. And again, I mentioned it mid-cast, but it's worth noting once more, he adapted from where he was before, where Keller used to be holding tires for way too long. This time, he got the tire, immediately said, look, I'm just going to throw it out there. And again, all he needed was 1, he got 2. That was enough for OpTic.
And it was just that triple tank composition. If you're not running the Zarya and the damage is still going through unmitigated, he's going to build up that tire, and that's exactly what happened. We saw at the end of that first fight, at the end of the first defensive hold coming out from OpTic, he was sitting at about 87%, maybe lower 80s, but that's not what you want to see coming out from them.
All right, so this is now down to NRG being able to pull back again with a reverse sweep. I don't know about you, but all this white knuckle action has my hands tired. I might need to have to head over to the Old Spice hand gym. They're going to get worse as the series goes on. Old Spice hand gym. We'll be back in a minute.